Hey y'all, it's Clay here with the Pump Chronicles. Today we are at a wastewater treatment plant. This is a little package plant that got put in for a small municipal, actually not for a municipality, but for a neighborhood. So what we've got here is in this neighborhood, there's no municipal wastewater to hook up to. So when you have a development like this, you got to do something with the wastewater for all these homes. And so one option is, in this scenario, is to get install a package treatment plant that is just for this neighborhood. It doesn't take care of anything else. It just takes care of this neighborhood. And that's where we're at today. Today, we've put in some blowers. Actually, we put it in on the other day, and I just had to come back this morning to button up a couple of small things. And we'll look at that here in a second, kind of what we did. But yeah, that's what this is. This is as a small, actually it's a good size, extended aeration, return activated sludge package treatment plant. And we're not going to run over all the details on it in this video. We're just kind of run over it and just let you see what this kind of looks like. And if maybe you have one in your neighborhood, you've always wondered, what's that behind that fence over there? It may be one of these. So let's take a look at this thing. So as you can see, it's pretty long. Let's walk up on top of this thing, take a look and see what's inside. All right, so here we are. We're going to walk up the stairs here, and this is going to be on the effluent side. Effluent means that's the water coming out. So the water coming out is effluent. That's what it's called in the industry, is effluent. So that is your effluent line, water leaving the plant. So let's walk up on here, take a gander. Here's your clarifiers. We'll walk down to this other side and see what we see, just kind of how roughly how this whole thing works. I'm not going to go over any of this in detail. That may be another video. All right, so what you have is that you have water that comes in here, all coming from the neighborhood, all from those houses that'll be built up on the hill there. They all have their own, I think in this neighborhood, they're all gonna be low pressure, so they're all gonna have their own little pump. And collectively, they're gonna pump to here. Gonna pump to this lift station, or this treatment plant here. So the water will come in here. This is a kind of a holding tank. It'll get some air by that little blower, churn it up and let those bugs start eating all that bacteria. Those little pumps will pump it down this channel. And then once the water drops off into that channel, it goes over in here into what's called the aeration basin. Now everything that I'm standing on and everything up to that bulkhead up there, you can see where the tank transitions. All of this is aeration. All of this is aeration. You got air drops with fine bubble diffusers on them that will entrain air into the system and give oxygen to the bugs and let them eat and let them do their good work and clean up the wastewater. So when this plant came in, as you can see, this plant is fairly long, and right here you can see, take a better look at it, where there was two pieces of the plant that came together here. So what we had to do was, when these things got set, we had to weld in those, I call them picture windows, to mate the two plants together. So anyhow, this is all aeration basin here. And then once the water goes through that little hole there, it runs over here into what's called the clarifiers. And these clarifiers allows the water to settle and let all the solids drop out of the bottom of it and fill these hoppers up. These things are slanted like a hopper, and all the solids, all the water in here is perfectly still. And so all those solids drop out of it and drop to the bottom, and then these pipes send all of those solids back to the head of the plant to keep feeding the bugs with plenty of solids, or actually sending the bugs back. That's actually technically what it's doing. It's actually sending the bugs back. So you have 2 clarifiers here with returns. You've got some skimmers here that does basically the same thing as a return does, but just skims the scum off the top layer and sends it back as well. And kind of how this works, I'll go over how this works. You have your pipe here, and then you have that little small line tied to it. Well, that's tied to your air header and tied to your blowers, which are there. Bump, bump. And it's blowing air in here, and so air is trying to escape. Well, as the air is escaping, it's pulling a suction, and it's pulling up sludge and sending sludge down with it. It'll be pumping it through like that in surges like that, sending all of that sludge and all those bugs back to the head of the plant, and keep them working. So anyhow, as the water comes through the clarifier, settles out, the water will slowly roll over this weir. This is called a weir. All these little V notches in here. It'll roll through here, come into this tablet feeder here, where the operator will have chlorine in here, and then it'll come through here. The chlorine will get some contact time. It's moving, the water's moving through here kind of slow, and just as it exits, right there, and there's another weir right as it goes out this pipe here, that the operator will drop some dechlor, some SO2 tablets in to dechlorinate the water, because naturally you don't want to send chlorinated water to receiving waters, i.e. the river in this case. So yeah, so by the time the water comes out of this right here, it'll be crystal clear. You could drink it if you had to, as long as the plant is operating as it should, as it's designed, and the organic load coming into the plant is as designed. The water's drinkable. Now, I wouldn't drink it. Maybe if I was on a deserted island and I had to, I would drink it. But so what we have here is a couple of process blowers. Now, the electrician hasn't been here to wire these up. We've just installed them. We mounted them to the pad, installed all the piping. And basically what you have here is inside the cabinet, you have a motor and a blower that's belt driven. And that air comes out this pipe, sucks it in, just like a car air filter, sucks it in and goes into the plant, goes up into the plant. On here, one thing to really remember is that you have your blower checks installed. That's a blower check. It's just a check valve. It allows air to go that way, but doesn't allow air to go this way, because these blowers, you want these blowers to run alternatingly. You don't want them running at the same time. That's too much air. They're not designed, the air header and the plant's not designed to do that. So what will happen is that these blowers will alternate when they run. So one blower might be called, we'll say blower number 1 is called to run for 30 minutes. When it gets called to run on the timer, it'll run for 30 minutes. Once it's done running and it's cycled off, there will be an alternator in the control panel that will swap it over to blower 2. So the next 30-minute cycle, blower 2 will run, and vice versa. And it goes like that. That way you get equal wear on both blowers. You get equal run times, and it just makes the equipment last longer. You have time for your other blower to cool down. It's just the way most, there's always some redundancy in this industry, whether it be pumps or blowers. There's always going to be some redundancy. But it's important to have these blower checks here, because when you have one blower running, you don't want that air going in. You don't want that air going into the other blower and spinning it backwards, and you'll lose all your air. That's what happens. That's why these blower checks are important. So if you don't have your blower checks in there, you need to valve it off, shut it off, so you're not losing all of your air blowing into the other blower and causing that one to run backwards. If it ever got called to run and ran in the opposite direction, that could be a catastrophe. Could cause a catastrophic failure. So let's go down here and look at this little small EQ blower that just handles the equalization basin. Some people call it a surge basin, to catch a lot of your flow. And we'll take a look at it and we'll get a better idea of how these blowers work, what they look like inside, all that kind of thing. This right here is the exact same thing as our big process blowers. It's just on a smaller scale and it's a little bit easier to see. This is a better representation of what it is that we're working with. So there you have it. Pretty simple. You got an air filter sucking fresh air, just like an air filter on an old hot rod. It's pulling the air in through this silencer into the motor, or into the blower, I'm sorry. And you have your blower here spinning. There's belts connected there, just like on your alternator of your car. And as it's spinning, that's a rotary lobe blower, and it's pulling air in and discharging it out the bottom and into the plant. So it's pretty simple. These little enclosures are really nice. These blowers will run really quiet. That way you're not running into complaints from neighbors because, oh, that treatment plant down there is so loud and all that. Most of the time that's because of the blowers. But these are in these insulated cabinets, nice and quiet. Got a little fan in there in case these hot southern days, keep everything cool in there. And that's pretty much it. These little doors make them very accessible, easy to maintenance, easy to work on. Love these little things. So in here's a good representation of what you got. You got an air relief valve, so that will control your pressure going to your blowers. You want this will have to get played with during startup, because we want to keep our volume high and our pressure low. So that'll have to get adjusted and played with a little bit during startup to make sure that our amps on our blower are correct and we're getting enough air. This is exactly like over there. We have a little baby blower check here and a valve to valve it off. So now in this case, it doesn't necessarily need a blower check because there's not two blowers here, but it's always good to have that in there because there is a potentiality in certain scenarios, usually when things go really wrong, of getting water into your air pipe and getting up into your blower. So it does have that purpose as well. So yeah, so this little blower right here is just like that over there. Those are just bigger. They carry more air because they're doing a lot more aerating, and they're a little bit more complex and a little bit more Cadillac-ish and a little bit harder to show you all of that stuff in there. But yeah, so this is the basics of a return activated sludge extended air treatment plant. It's pretty simple. They're really cost effective. They're really easy to work on. In our state, it takes, for this plant, your lowest wastewater operator certified guys and gals can run these things, and they're pretty cost effective. They're pretty cheap for developers and owners to put in a large neighborhood or facility and not have to have city sewer. You have your own sewer. And typically people who operate these things are hired through HOAs. Your HOA, if you have one of these, your HOA may contract a company, an operation and maintenance company, to come out and operate this thing for you and carry the permit for it and all of those sort of things. And there's a lot of those private companies that do that. But yeah, this is it. Extended aeration package treatment plant. This one's going in. It'll probably get started up. Probably probably sometime this summer, once they get some houses built up on the hill and actually get some flow heading down to this thing. We'll be back out here starting this thing up and make sure that everything's working properly. So so in the meantime, I'm headed to a preventative maintenance job down the road, and I'm gonna try to get some video of that too. So in the meantime, if it's sticky, brown, and it ain't yours, don't touch it. Signing off. See ya.